So we're back today with another $10 challenge, and this time it's going to be Ace Hardware. Now this is one I haven't been able to get to because a lot of times they're closed a little bit early. And there's a couple of things I got to say about Ace Hardware in general. They have changed a lot over the years, and they're now more of a convenience store. There's a lot of different items for a lot of different genres. Yeah, I had fun on one hand, but on the other end, I found them to be one of the most expensive stores that I have tried in this series. But you be the judge. Let me know what you think after you see this. So before we get started on the items I found at Ace Hardware, I haven't been in an Ace Hardware in a really long time, and I think it has changed dramatically. It was more like a convenience store. They had different kinds of food, they had a toy section. It was very weird, I'll be honest. It didn't feel much like a hardware store at all. But you know what? There were some cool things, so I figured we'll go ahead and talk about them. The first one was pure nostalgia and had to get one. I did not realize that not only is this made in the USA still, did you know they patented a certain color or trademarked a certain color yellow? I did not know that. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, wiffle ball and bat. Gotta have that. If you, great for beach outings. And am I the only one that remembers having that great idea to use this kind of like a sword fight with your friend and then realize very quickly that these things are really hard and they hurt like crazy? Yeah, wiffle ball and bat. I think it was like $6, made in the United States. I'd call that a major win. What do you guys think? Weird one for you. Turns out there's an entire section of food-related items in Ace Hardware, and one of the things that I picked up was for my 8-year-old. So my 8-year-old actually adores avocados, and this is something that I don't need to supervise when she's using it. Now I'm teaching her how to use a knife as well, but this is just one of those low-hanging fruit kind of fun items, and I just thought it was kind of a cool thing to put in her drawer that she can use to make herself a snack. And what she'll do is she'll take some of this, she'll scrape it out, put it on a plate, and then actually sprinkle some Himalayan salt on it, and that's good. She'll eat an entire avocado just like that. So there you go. Pretty cool. Avocado slicer. We'll see exactly how good it works. I've seen these before. They're okay. I kind of prefer using a knife myself, but you can understand the point. Okay. So this is another one of those items that's going to go in my daughter's do-it-yourself drawer. And this is a potato, peeler or a peeler. But what's cool about it is when you slide it, there's a ceramic ball that slides on the inside of the blade and actually continues to sharpen it. So you go up, boom, and it actually will hone the blade every single time, keeping it really, really sharp. And I kind of like the orientation of it too. It's a nice little tool, and it just coming in under, like, I think it was $9 or $10, perfectly fine. Kind of a really cool solution, because I don't think I've ever tried to sharpen one of those. I've usually just discarded them, but this is a much better solution and probably would last a lot longer than my other peelers. So there you go. This is called the Dream Farm. Like I said, there's a huge section of food-related items in Ace Hardware, and this is one of the things I found there. Man, oh man, I am so excited to have found these in Ace Hardware. We were just talking about this because I found this new hack for making corn on the cob in the microwave and then peeling away the whole thing in one fell swoop. Like, you actually just squeeze the corn right out of the husk. It's actually the greatest thing ever. And it would have been great to have these so that you're not actually burning yourself, because the corn tastes so good right after you put it on that butter. Like, you roll it on the butter and you salt it, you want to eat it immediately, but corn stays hot forever and it's really hard to touch. So yeah, they sound silly, but corn holders are the bomb, and these were like $3 each, and I had to get at least 6 sets. So definitely worth the pickup if you're there. If you don't have any, not only are these really useful, they are super nostalgic. I remember my mom had these when I was a kid, and I don't know, she might still have them, to be honest. They don't ever really go bad. But yeah, they're awesome, the little corn holders. Definitely something to pick up under $10. things I did really like about Ace Hardware is that there was an incredible variety of items. I think if you weren't sure what you were looking for, or you were trying to get a good idea for something, Ace Hardware would be a really good place to go, because they have a wider variety of fasteners than even the biggest hardware stores with those organized drawers. I could just spend hours in there. But they also had balsa wood, and they had these metal rods. So I had a couple of them that really caught my eye. This is 5/32 of an inch, which is the same diameter as the pivot for a Leatherman tool. So the inner tools, the smaller tools, are 5/32 of an inch. The plier head is 7/32 of an inch. I did not find that, unfortunately. I would have loved to have found one of those, but they didn't have that. But these were about $2 or $3 a piece, a little bit, sometimes a little bit more. This one has an inner diameter, or sorry, an outer diameter of 7/32 of an inch. I thought this might be, or actually an inner, so it's not particularly useful, but maybe it allows me to install a pivot somewhere. I don't know. I'm just playing with these things, and I thought it would be good to pick up, because I might not get another chance. Like every other hardware store we've covered so far, I think every single hardware store has Night Eyes items. So it's always a good fallback for me to go check out what they have, because generally speaking, they're some of the best sub $10 pieces you can buy that actually help reduce the friction of daily life. And so this dual pass keychain is another great example of that. The way I would use it is I actually connect this to a loop on your belt and then have your keys in here. So I think this is better for someone who has a lot of keys. I have smaller ones like the G clip that are better if you only have like 2 or 3 keys, but I hadn't seen this one in store yet, so I wanted to check it out. So I think this was $2 or $3 or $4. What I will say is that the prices at Ace Hardware were far more expensive on every single thing. They had Milwaukee, they had Night Eyes, they had Craftsman. All of them were more expensive than they would be at something like Home Depot. So just keep that in mind. You're going to pay more, but at least the idea being that if you're going to one place, the variety at Ace Hardware might be worth the look. One thing that is absolutely consistent in every hardware store in America, it feels like, there are no good flashlights, okay? They make you want to pay a lot of money for what are basically the lowest caliber flashlight that they can import from China. People seem to think that Chinese flashlights are bad, and they have a point, because in the hardware stores, all those flashlights that are made in China are the worst and the cheapest. If you go on Alibaba, you can buy like those same flashlights that they're charging you $40 for $3 or $4. I mean, no lie, they are that cheap and that bad. This is another great example of it. Single mode flashlight, and actually this one's not half bad. At $10, I was okay with it as a showcase, but once again, there is no waterproofing whatsoever. It is not particularly efficient. It's like a direct drive flashlight, so it'll continue to dim as you go. It's not regulated in any way. It's just, I try to do this, like I've tried the Coast flashlight and so on, but it's really hard to see what they're offering in all of these stores for flashlights and not be a little bit angry, knowing that they could stock really high quality pieces that are equal or lesser in cost, and it would change how people perceive flashlights entirely. I'm sorry, that's my little spiel. The Energizer is not one I would buy. Save your money, and let's be honest, if you really want a good flashlight, you're going to have to go online, because the only thing I've ever seen that's decent in a store are flashlights made by Phoenix, and they're some of the most expensive lights. So, yeah, I would skip the flashlight genre almost entirely, unless you just need something to throw in a glove compartment. And so these are maybe okay backups, but that's about all they're ever going to be. Really good pickup for $6. Waterproof matches. Can't go wrong with having a backup, whether it's in your car, in your house. There's a lot of reasons to want to have some matches available. And what I like about these is if you use candles in a bathroom, you can sometimes have water or just the moisture in the air destroy the matches if they're just sitting there. The nice part about having waterproof matches is you're not going to have to worry about that as much. So it's something good to have around in a couple of different places. So these are great. They also make stormproof matches, but they didn't have them in the store. One you should probably pick up whenever you see it. So you notice these items there, they don't really get organized with everything else, right? So what happens is when you go to find it, you can't, and you end up buying another one. This is like probably so many people buy multiples just simply because they either the needles break or you just can't find them. So at just a couple of dollars, I definitely think picking one of these up from time to time is not a bad call, especially if you have a lot of items that need to be refilled with air. It could be bikes, it could be like they're showing here, little pools and all that kind of thing. Definitely worth a check. Here's a fun one. So I remember having these as kids, but never using them for their original purpose. They're just kind of funny. I mean, we would like, I don't know, do all kinds of crazy funny things with this, store things in there probably it wasn't designed for. But this is basically a coin purse that sits on a keychain. And being pink, I specifically had my daughter in mind with this, and it was just a couple of dollars, and I thought she would find a cool way to put like maybe Barbie shoes or something like that in there so she could keep it around. Like me, she likes to pack things. She has a lot of bags, so I thought this was just a win. And so yeah, this is another one of those things they had. And right in the same section, they had some ball and chain that you could cut to the length in 6mm and 10mm, and I think a couple that were out of stock. I really considered buying some of that as well, but because I want a specific type from a specific manufacturer, I decided to skip it. But that is another thing you'll find at Ace Hardware as well. Remember back a few videos that we did on this $10 challenge, I talked about getting a chisel that would actually function as a prying tool, and I finally found the one I was looking for. This is a 1/4 inch in total diameter, so it's going to be a little bit easier to slot in spaces that would normally accept a pen in any particular organizer. And so even against all the other prying tools, this has its place. It's a cold hammered chisel, and so if you're careful, you might be able to grind enough metal to make it into a true prying tool. But even without doing anything additionally, it's going to be useful for prying things open by itself. Made in the United States, I think this was like $5 or $6, so not half bad. And mostly it's covered with a blue paint, which I really appreciate, because being that it's a carbon steel, a high carbon steel that is forged, it's going to rust on you, so it's important that they have that coating. So I really do like this. And it's more of one of the few EDC items that I actually found at Ace Hardware. At least something that you can use for EDC if you really chose to. I really admit this did not come in under $10. I think this was around $12 at Ace Hardware. But why I got it is because this regularly dips under $10 in a lot of other places like Amazon, and it's not a bad key organizational system. And this is the flexible plastic variety, but the thing is they still use the same adjustable threading on this. So it's still going to function really, really well like the metal variety. And in some ways, I like the plastic more for the exact reason that they're saying, that it's flexible. So it's not quite as rigid in the pocket. And so there's some advantage to that that should be spoken of. So this is a low-cost way to get a lot of keys in a small package that don't rattle. And if you're like me and you don't like that jingling noise, this might not be a bad pickup. It's a little bit above that $10 price point, but I think we'll let it slide this time around. So every store has those sections leading up to the cash register where you have a bunch of items to look at. And this is one of those things, you know what I mean? And actually, I'm really glad to have this. I didn't even know they really existed. But for me, what I'm thinking I'm going to use this for is in a to-go kit, potentially. But also, I'm going to leave one in my knife cleaning kit, because this basically works as a soft wedge to pull different handle scales apart. And the same thing is true with the reverse as well. I just think these are going to be particularly useful for a variety of different tasks where you don't want to damage something and still need to apply some leverage. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I think these were under $7, and that is not too bad for what I'm looking for. Okay, so 2 more items from that checkout lane. First of all, I I am not sponsored in any way by Dr. Squatch. I just want to be perfectly clear on that. But their soap is actually pretty sick. The one I like the most is the pine tar, and this one is also pretty nice. They're pretty nice, and they're about $7 in the checkout aisle. I think you can get them cheaper if you subscribe to their whole thing. For me, it's such an occasional thing, like to get bars of soap. I don't mind picking one up now and again. I got a couple to try that I hadn't already tried, and so yeah, for under $10, can't go wrong. And then I saw this and I'm like, oh my god, that's some serious nostalgia right there. So if you've never had these are old school candy. They are lemon. You know, I'm gonna have one right now because, oh yeah, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at these things. They look like soap. Oh my god, it's like a really large lemon pez. I completely forgot what this tastes like. Wow. Okay, so nostalgia, cleanliness. There you go. Not really a hardware store so far. Like, we haven't found much hardware stuff. Certainly they had tools, but they were all very expensive. Like, I would never go and buy tools at Ace Hardware when you can go to Home Depot and get them much cheaper, especially when they're on sale. So yeah, I wouldn't get, this is more of a convenience store than I would say an actual hardware store. Probably seen one of these show up on the channel from time to time. Now, Super Lube is my go-to for a lot of different things. It's just a low-hanging fruit. So it's not specialized to any one task, but I know it's relatively food grade. It has a lot of in-depth testing on it that lets me know what it's made out of, what its uses are. It's just a really versatile tool. Now, at Ace Hardware, like everything else, it's quite a bit more expensive. You can get this on Amazon for around $4. But yeah, if you had to go to a physical store, though, the lubricants in that aisle were surprisingly diverse and maybe even better than other hardware stores that I've seen. They had Super Lube. They did not have, the one thing that I would have picked up, even though it wouldn't have been in the budget, is Loctite in the glue stick form. They didn't have that, but this was one of the things that I saw that I always need additional ones of. I'm not quite running low on the one I have in here, but it's getting there. And so I tend to use that when I'm taking things apart. That's my just go-to. It's just easy. It functions really well. Yeah, Super Lube, can't go wrong. So another shopping experience down in the books. Where would I rate Ace Hardware on the $10 challenge? Very much at the bottom, okay? But I stipulate that with saying that there were some items that I didn't expect to find there. There was a whole bunch of stuff in the cooking and kitchen area that I thought was kind of interesting. There were some supplies like ball and chain, which I thought was cool, including brass ball and chain, some different craft items. So there's a lot of variety, 100% for a lot of variety. Just everything was more expensive than I would have found elsewhere, especially in the actual tool section. You're way better off going to a Home Depot than an Ace Hardware. Also, it's weird, but Ace Hardware has the weirdest hours. Like, they're closed most of, like, early on Sundays when everyone is actually trying to get to a home improvement store. It's just very strange to me. Anyway, still a fun experience. Which one should I go to next? I've already done an entire series on this. I'll put a playlist down in the description. And yeah, let me know which one I should try next. As always, thank you guys for your time, and we'll talk again soon.